Burnout is something that is very poorly understood, even more stigmatized, and people actually, it probably doesn't look or feel like what people think it does. This is not being tired. This is not being overwhelmed. Can you give us a really good idea of what burnout actually is?
So, burnout is essentially a physical, mental, and emotional collapse in your body. So, if we look at the nervous system and we imagine that for simplicity's sake, there are three main levels. So, level one, we're regulated, right? We're relaxed in our body. We feel safe. This is where we feel creative, where we connect to other people, where we're happy. This is where we want to live. This is the good stuff. Then, if we move to level two, this is where your nervous system gets activated into fight or flight. It senses danger. And danger to our bodies, it doesn't matter if it's a deadline or if it's a tiger coming to rip our faces off, okay? It's the same thing. So our body can't differentiate between stress that is not life-threatening and stress that is. And so when we get activated into this fight or flight, cortisol pumps through, adrenaline pumps through, and all our energy goes into our muscles so we can fight for our lives or run for our lives. Brilliant system. However, we're not supposed to stay here. And in our modern world, a lot of people are living in this fight or flight state, that level of stress becomes their new normal. And because all of that energy is going into your muscles, the other functions in your body are not working optimally. Your immune system is not working optimally. Your digestion is not, your hormones, all of that is being sacrificed to save you, right? We got to run away from the tiger. And your body is incredibly resilient. So we can stay there for quite a long time. But at some point, our body just starts to break down. It cannot hold that tension or that stress for so long. Our batteries, if you will, start to drain. And then we go into level three, which is kind of this dorsal state. It's in the wild, if the tiger has gotten us, we go numb, right? We're preparing for death. It's like the body's saying, I cannot fight this anymore. I surrender. I don't feel anything. Just eat me. Let the tiger eat me. And so what's happening is in that sense of burnout, you've become incredibly numb emotionally and mentally. So anything that used to give you joy, you don't feel joy. You don't feel anything. In fact, the only thing I could do was cry because I had no idea who I was. I cannot emotionally connect to other people. I don't care about anything, right? Like there's a sense of failure and detachment and being alone in the world and that nothing else matters. Nothing matters. Everything's pointless. But at the same time, your body is not only in this state of collapse, it's still stressed because that's level two, right? So in that healing process, what we do is we kind of dip down into fight or flight. We feel all that stress again, and then we go back up into that level three, and we're just kind of here. And we need to get down to that level one where we're healthy and happy. Burnout is really hard for people to understand because on the outside you look normal, but you don't have the energy, you don't have the willpower. Your body cannot function anymore. It's fought the battle for so long and your energy is done. It's empty. And so in that healing process, because it takes so long to heal, that energy might recharge. You might sleep for a bit and okay, I have a bit of energy, but then anything you do takes energy again. You're back to square one. That's why it takes so long to heal. And our society, our culture expects us to get over burnout the way we get over a cold or the flu, right? I have people and I'm like, how long have you been on burnout leave? 3 months, 6 months, and they want me to come back to work. I'm like, you're not ready. You can't. You will crash even more. They are not going to get the results they want from you. We don't understand that burnout is not just like a flu symptom. Burnout is a result of years of pushing yourself to the extreme. And it's your body saying, babe, I am done. I can't. I don't have any more to give. And that takes a really long time to heal. And it's a very painful experience if you have associated your sense of self-worth with what you achieve, or this need to prove yourself, or you're a perfectionist, or anything like that. It can be devastating to realize, It can feel like a failure, and it can feel like your body has betrayed you.
Yeah. And I think that I've heard people say this, like, you would never ask someone to walk on a broken leg, but we're asking people to go back to work or go back to normal life with a broken body, essentially.
Yeah.
Like your spirit is broken down.
Yeah.
And that surprises people. I think it takes you, because we're so used to being able, especially as if you're able-bodied adult, you can pretty much do anything. This level of breakdown is disconcerting at best. It takes you completely by surprise.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand how extreme it is. Because I've
Yeah.
heard people talking like, "Oh, I had a burnout and blah, 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 blah. Oh, I'm feeling burnt out and la, 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 la." I'm like, that's different. That's tired. That's exhaustion. Okay, that's fine. But burnout is you're done. Like, this is very extreme. And I don't think it's being taken. I don't think people are realizing how extreme it is. Yeah, oof, it's intense.
Yeah. And do you think that when people say they're tired, that that's really good to recognize? You're on your way to a burnout. Maybe you're not in a full burnout, but you're on your way. It's good to recognize that you feel like you might be burning out. And so those are often the signs we ignore, or maybe that's what they're signaling. But when you're in a burnout, it's like giving birth. You are either giving birth, or you're pregnant or not pregnant. There is a time when you are undeniably burned out. And that's the thing that's I think that part is very poorly misunderstood. There's the road to burnout, and then there is a full burnout. And maybe it looks a little bit different for everybody, but there are certain signs and certain hallmarks of having a burnout. Thank you for explaining that, because I think that full body experience is poorly understood. And we do this at work. Like, this is often talked about at work. But in my experience, my own personal experience, which I don't talk about very often, is I had a burnout in motherhood. And that is from my own personal experience, a different level of devastation. And that I had to map it onto what others were experiencing in the workplace, but I mapped it onto my experience being a highly sensitive woman with 3 kids under 5, doing an international move. That was not, and remodeling a house, like, those were not things you should do all at once.
All of that is incredibly stressful for your nervous system,
Yeah.
especially moving, right?
Yeah.
Like to a new place. That's out of your familiar comfort zone. And that anything out of your comfort zone is threatening to your subconscious, to your nervous system, to your body. So moving to a new place, your body is already on edge. Where's the tiger? Where's the tiger? Oh my God. Renovations in your house, you cannot come home to where you normally feel safe. So you have people walking around, there's noise, there's mess. So you cannot ground into that safety. So again, you're on edge. And then to be responsible for 3 young children who are constantly demanding your attention and your time, that's a lot to ask for yourself. I'm not surprised at all that you experienced that. Really. It's very intense.
Yeah, so
And
my entry into somatic work was me going, "I can't feel anything. Is it normal to have panic attacks?" And this woman was just like, "What?" No, but I think my wish is for women especially to know that this can happen even if you're not pushing hard at work. If you're denying your nervous system or pushing yourself and not listening to that intuition that says, "I cannot do any more despite being asked to do more," this is not just about work burnout from my perspective. It's anytime you're not honoring who you are, what your nervous system is about, the knowledge that you're already being asked too much and living in a built environment that may not work for you. These are all, it's possible at any time, work or no work.
absolutely. And exactly like you said, we tend to focus on work, but I know women who have burnt out from caring for their parents or someone who was sick in their life, all of the pressure and stress that comes with that, from emotional things, from really intense breakups, from having to move internationally. Like these are all huge stressors that we don't actually acknowledge. We just assume everybody should just get on with it and keep moving forward. And the feedback I hear all the time is, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm weak. I feel like there's something wrong with me, that I can't handle this obscene amount of stress, because we've made it normal and it's not normal. And so, like you said, giving yourself that grace and being like, okay, I need to I need to prioritize my well being because otherwise I cannot show up for the people in my life or for my job or for anyone. That's the thing. Like burnout cost me 2 years of my life. I couldn't be a friend. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything.
Okay, that's this week's clip for our summer special. If you're new here or you've joined us recently and missed some of these earlier conversations, this series is for you. We're taking a little break from recording new episodes, but there are certain moments from past episodes we really wanted to share while we're away. If today's episode resonated, you can find the link to the full original episode and all related resources in the show notes below. Thanks so much for being here and letting House of Peregrine be part of your summer, no matter where in the world you're listening from.